Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I'm Derek, the Prophet Lamaster. I'm back again.
We got Nostra Dumbass over here. And this is Scream Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the horror news, and Derek gloats about how right he was about films. How are you guys doing today?
I'm so shook by this movie. I don't even know. I've had a migraine since I watched it yesterday.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
It is.
I did it until I watched the movie, and it was immediate migraine.
We have some thoughts on it, yeah. So this week we're doing Rob Zombie's 2022 movie, The Munsters. So we will get into that in a few minutes. But until then, how are you guys doing? Besides the headache, how about you, Derek? How are you feeling after this movie?
I mean, I broke the movie up into two parts, so I managed pretty well. But I feel pretty good. Yeah, I had the most fall day that you could imagine, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, I did too. Went to the old pumpkin patch and walked around a corn maze, which, by the way, was really long. and the kids kept leading us in the wrong directions.
Whoa. Did anybody get freaked out to the point where they had to jump into a karate stance?
No, that only happens with Joey.
Okay, I was just curious.
But this one, people weren't jumping out at us either. It wasn't like a scary haunted corn maze. It was literally just a maze in the corn. So we're just walking around the corn. It was legit, though, I guess. I did drink some good cider. That was good. And then Sarah and I spent the last hour watching Food Truck Wars. So
Food Truck Wars.
I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's pretty fire. Pretty good.
Do they war over turf? Like, man,
no, so they're not like gang members. They're not like gang members.
Slashing tires. Someone disconnected the propane tank.
Gotta watch out.
No, they're not like it's not food warriors. Like they're in the warriors. No, they it's like a food truck race or whatever. It's all right. Sarah likes it. And then I started watching it and I liked it. So there you go. It's like, what is this? I really hope that family wins.
Right. You guys want to know what I did?
What'd you do?
Lydia, what'd you do?
I had breakfast with my dad, and we watched Us.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Peele's Us, and then me and Jake just watched Hocus Pocus 2.
We'll have to talk about both of those.
Yes.
Lydia.
Yep, I watched it.
I want to talk about it too.
Yeah, I would.
Well, did you watch it, Jamie?
I have not.
Man, if you did, we could pivot and just do a review.
We're not pivoting. We are doing the Munsters, you son of a bitch. That's what we're here to do.
Could you imagine if we just were like, okay, talk about the Munsters, hated it. Okay, let's talk about Hocus Pocus 2.
Dude, I really thought about texting you guys and saying, hey, do you guys want to also talk about like a Halloween movie?
Like a good movie? Or...
You guys want to watch Halloween 3 and review it too? You know what I'm saying?
This is a double feature because the first one's going to take 5 minutes.
We'll get into it. No, it's going to take a while because I have a lot of stuff to say about it.
It will, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It was only like 5 hours long.
It seemed like it's like only an hour and a half.
It felt like 5 hours.
I'll tell you about how. I got this all broke down. I watched it yesterday during the day, and then thought about it all the rest of the day, and then I went to bed kind of thinking about it, like what? And so we'll talk about it. Okay. But before we do that, let's start this week like we do every week and get into the horror news. So, guys, I have a pretty damn good selection of horror news this week. And let's start with this really relevant piece right here. I just brought this up just for you guys. The Munsters is getting a soundtrack from Waxwork Records.
What
including singles such as Disco Vampire, Microbat, and It's Zombo, and of course, the great version of I Got You, Babe.
So was that announced prior to the numbers coming in?
I don't know.
Or
Movie
after?
probably did well, I would imagine, as far as
I'm sure. I
number
can't
of
wait to see
views.
what it got in
People
Rotten
wanted to know.
Tomatoes.
Yeah, people wanted to know.
Great.
Could
So you guys
Rob
aren't going to be
Zombie make a
purchasing
Munsters
this.
movie?
Is
That
what
is a
you're saying?
negative. And if someone
Okay.
gave me a copy, I would donate it to charity to people who are deaf.
Eric. Good heavens. So
I cut that one.
No,
That's all
I
we
mean,
do
that's
with your
probably
jokes.
the only people who would enjoy this movie. Because it's more visual.
Yeah,
You know, well,
we'll get into it. So I've got some news that'll perk you up then. How about this? John Carpenter is hosting an online marathon of Godzilla movies over at Shout Factory.
What?
Yes, John Carpenter, director of all of our favorite films, sits down and to present 4 of his favorite monster films: Godzilla, the original, Rodan, Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, and War of the Gargantuas. He will make appearances throughout to discuss his love and admirations for the franchise.
I am glad that you gave context to that, because at first I was like, that's so weird. Why wouldn't he just do his own movies? But the fact that those are some of his favorite movies, that makes sense.
Yeah. So he's just going to talk about them starting November 3rd through November 6th. So that's really cool, right?
nice.
On
Very nice.
masterofmonsters.com. I will definitely check that out. I love John. Anything he does. You know, John Carpenter could direct a phone directory, and I'd be like, yes! One of the best phone directories of all time.
This is way better than that Munsters movie.
This is a pretty cool piece of news here. So, Tom Holland, the creator of Fright Night, not the Spider-Man, but the other Tom Holland, is writing a Fright Night Origins novel that's going to start a new trilogy. It is the first movie, or the first book is now available. So, Fright Night Origins, it says, high school isn't going well for horror fan Charlie Brewster. Still dealing with the loss of his father, and he finds himself in his first serious relationship with Amy. So basically, it's the plot of the movie. It seems like he returns to the world of Fright Night in a brand new trilogy. So, what are you guys' thoughts on this?
That sounds cool.
A bit different than I imagined it when you mentioned the title, but
Wasn't Brewster the not the main character?
no, the other
Charlie
guy
Brewster's
always
the
called
main-
him Brewster.
Yeah.
Brewster.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's what I was
Yeah.
picturing, I think.
You're so cool, Brewster.
Yeah.
Evil.
Guys.
That's evil.
Yes.
I'm excited. I love Fright Night. The second one we'll have to do one day. It's decent. But to get more Fright Night from Tom Holland, even if it is only in book form, I'd be down with that, you know?
Hey, most movies start in book form. I won't say most, but a lot of them.
Some. At least a percentage.
I feel like it's a fairly decent percentage.
Yeah. So, this just popped up on my radar, and I was super excited. Sam Raimi is reportedly directing a remake of Magic, the evil ventriloquist doll movie that starred Anthony Hopkins. You guys remember Magic?
No.
You guys have never seen Magic? It's
Nope.
fucking creepy. It's about a evil ventriloquist doll, and Anthony Hopkins is the lead in it.
What?
But Sam Raimi is directing a remake of it.
What?
I mean, I had you guys with Sam Raimi's directing a movie, right?
well, yeah, but then you threw the
Enough
curveball. So, when was this movie made? The original?
Magic was made in I have to look it up. Hang on. 1978.
Okay.
Same year as Halloween. Yeah. It's a good one. It's interesting. It's an interesting movie.
Sounds
But
like
it's based off the novel by William Goldman. Sounds like the script for Magic remake is still being developed, so it's not necessarily. So I wouldn't necessarily consider Sam Raimi directing it to be a sure thing, but right now he's attached, and I'm down with Sam Raimi directing an evil ventriloquist doll movie.
Yes, dude.
Yeah, I think
Just
so.
imagine the
That's
shots that
right
we're
up
going to
his alley.
see. Yeah, just imagine the shots we're going to see.
Yes.
Oh, I'm in. I'm 100%.
That's the kind of stuff that we can get behind being remade too. Like stuff that's
Yeah.
been kind of forgotten about.
Obscure movies. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Lydia, this one's for you. Robert Eggers' remake of Nosferatu is back on with Bill Skarsgård and Lily Rose Depp.
Okay.
So Robert Eggers is directing a new Nosferatu. What do you think about that?
Is that the one that we talked about that was cast? They cast Willem Dafoe again?
No,
Or am I wrong?
I don't think they have anybody Well, maybe they do. No, right now it looks like
something about that.
the new Imagining has Bill Skarsgård as Count Orlok.
Okay.
That'll be good.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see
And
that too.
Robert Eggers is great, you know. He's got it going on. Don't you? What do you guys think?
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'll definitely be watching that.
And then Derek, this is a bit for you. Remember we were talking about that Crow reboot starring Bill Skarsgård?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it has wrapped production. It actually made it through filming, guys. Like, this movie's been so cursed. To have it finally in the can is a big, big step.
Yeah, I agree. Now, as long as it's better than the Edward Furlong version, I feel like we're gonna come out on top on this one.
Yeah, there's a lot of really, really bad Crow sequels. All of them, basically. All of them are terrible.
Yeah, I haven't seen the City of Angels one in like a long time, but let me tell you what.
Then they had
The
they had the TV series, The Stairway to Heaven.
I didn't mind that one. I thought that one was okay.
Yeah, and then they had they had one with Eric Mabius in it too as the Crow. That was not the best.
Yeah. Well.
And guys, I have one more piece of horror news. I saved this one for last because I just saw it, and I'm ready to get your guys' opinion because I'm pretty excited. You guys ready?
Yep.
Michael Dougherty has announced that a Trick or Treat sequel is in very active development.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Come
Sam's
on.
coming back to the big screen,
That's what
huh?
we've been talking about.
Yeah, right. In time for Halloween, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to see another Trick or Treat movie. Because that first Trick or Treat's just a classic.
I'm
So
kind of
good.
shocked that they didn't make more, since that one was more or less an anthology of a bunch of short stories that tied all together. That should be a no-brainer. So yeah. Bring it on.
Love to see Sam. We need to see Sam again. He's one of the horror mascots, the Halloween Santa Claus.
Right.
And that wraps up the horror news. What are you guys excited for Trick or Treat 2?
Yep.
Definitely.
Me too. Next week, don't forget, by the time this airs, Halloween Ends will be out. So we'll have our thoughts on that coming up as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I was feeling kind of a certain way about it. And then I saw that latest trailer and I was like, not gonna lie, latest trailer, kicks ass. It's really good. So, so I was like, okay, come on.
Let's see what happens.
Cautiously optimistic. So, guys, let's get down to business. So we don't need to ask, what's our experience with this Munsters movie, because this is all our first experience. What I'm going to do this time is what's your experience with the Munsters in general? The original Munsters. What are your guys' memories of the Munsters, and where does it sit in your heart? Let's start with you, Derek.
So I definitely remember watching the TV show, and I remember watching it on Nick at Night. Was it Nick at Night?
Nick at Night.
That's when they aired all of the old TV shows. I used to watch
I Love
it at
Lucy,
my grandma.
Dragnet.
You got it. So I used to when I'd spend the night at my grandma and grandpa's house, they just didn't care. I mean, we could stay up as late as we wanted to, and so I got to watch all of those old TV shows. But my best experience with the Munsters was the TV movie that they came out with. The one where they get framed for a murder and all that good stuff. And there's a waxworks in it. It's very vague, but I remember watching that several times.
The one from the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That was in color, and it was so that was great, and that's really my best memory of the Munsters was that made for TV movie.
I actually remember that made for TV movie too. I remember sitting at my mom's in the living room watching that, because it was on Fox or something. I remember it airing. Lydia, what is your memories of the Munsters, and what does it mean to you?
I love the Munsters. I used to watch it when I was pretty young. I just, that and Addams Family and spooky things. Me and my mom would just we were into Halloween. So, we get out the decorations and everything and just play spooky shows all day. And Munsters was definitely one of them. To the point that I had the Munsters Barbie collection.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they were so beautiful too. They were gorgeous, and I never opened them or anything. So I really wanted to. I always wanted to, but I just kept them collector edition. I'm not sure if she still has them, but I know I don't have them anymore. But I wish I did. But yeah, I just really loved the Munsters when I was young. A lot of the quotes and lessons and things really stuck with me, and just her is just the coolest. So
there's a lot of good lessons in the Munsters. That's true. There's one that goes around all the time where Herman talks about how you shouldn't judge people by the way they look. It's what's on the inside that counts. And anybody that does that is not a good person. And I have something to say about that in relation to this movie, actually, when we get there. But the Munsters I've loved my whole life. Since I was, as long as I can remember, 2 years old or so. I remember sitting on my grandpa's knee watching the Munsters. We would always watch it. It was our favorite. And then my grandpa, I still have the tape. My grandpa recorded a bunch of Munsters episodes for me on VHS. One of them I have that I know for a fact I have is the one where they use disappearing, reappearing ink to sign a check. I remember this very well. And so grandpa fixes it to make it fixed so they don't lose their house. Silly shit. But I love the Munsters since then. And then Derek, I remember watching that made for TV movie and being so excited because it was a new Munsters. And I was like, yeah, Munsters. And did you guys know that in the 80s and early 90s they had a TV show called The New Munsters, and it ran for a really long, for several years. Yep. And it was weird and not very good, but it ran forever.
I do remember seeing It didn't have the original cast, did it?
No, and the
Yeah,
guy that played Herman was weird. It was a thing, but it existed.
Oh,
Existed.
gosh.
Yep,
But
I remember that.
so when this movie was announced that they're making a new Munsters, and when it was announced that Rob Zombie was directing it, initially I was hesitant, of course, because I was like, "Oh, well, what's he going to do with it?" And then I mean, I knew he was a big super fan of the Munsters, and I was like, you know what? Since he is such a super fan, this might be pretty cool. Might be a pretty good marriage of fandom and sensibilities. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Then I watched it.
Yep.
And you're like, gosh dang it, Derek was right.
Yep.
So,
I
initial
hate when that
thoughts before
happens.
we get into it. What was this on par with what you thought, better than what you thought, or worse than what you thought? Derek.
I think this was pretty much what I expected it to be.
So it was on par with what you thought it was going to be.
It was on. Honestly, the only thing that shocked me was they fixed the cinematography in post from the preview or the trailer that they released. That's
Slightly,
honestly,
yeah.
It definitely was a little bit better than the trailer.
So Lydia, what do you think? Better, worse, or on par?
Oh, I think this is so much worse than I expected. Honestly, it's so much worse than I expected. It's heartbreaking. Ugh.
Yeah. So, like, I really feel bad about dunking on it because I was like, oh, maybe it's. But Derek made a good point for me when he because I hadn't watched it yet and he'd watched the first half of it, and I said, "What do you think?" And he said, "Well, honestly, man, I just don't know who it's made for."
Yeah, that's the problem.
When I rewatched it, I was like, "You're absolutely right. Like, who is like it's made for kids, but is it?
It's not.
You know what I mean?
It's not. You know who it's made for? I have the answer.
Who's it made for?
It's made for Rob Zombie and Rob Zombie alone.
Yeah.
It's not made for kids. It's not made for fans of the Munsters. It's not made for audiences to enjoy. It's made for Rob Zombie to enjoy, and that's it. Literally. That's my opinion.
So let's start with the good. Let's list all the good things that we can say about the movie. I think the makeup is very good.
Makeup is amazing.
I think the makeup is great in this movie.
Yeah.
All of the makeup. I think the Munsters themselves look great. Especially, I think Herman looks great. If he just didn't talk, like he looks pretty good.
Or dance or sing.
Yeah, and Grandpa looks great. And at the very beginning, there's this cool like zombie monster you see.
Yes.
When the credits are starting, looks great. I was like, ooh, okay, yeah.
Yep.
So I think it looks those things look good. I think the set design on some things are great. Like I think 1313 Mockingbird Lane looks great still because it's the same house.
Mm-hmm.
So at least it looks nice. What else do you guys like? Grandpa. I think Grandpa was good.
Grandpa was good.
I think he did a good job portraying Grandpa.
I do too. Did his makeup change from when they were in Transylvania to when he went? Because his face looked a lot more blue when they got to
he
the
got
States.
real blue. At the end.
He got bluer.
But that also could have just been that the lighting in their castle was crazy.
Dude, the lighting in this movie.
Didn't notice.
We'll talk about that when we get to the negatives. But yeah. Yeah, I think he was good as Grandpa. I think he had the right mannerisms and the right voice.
Yeah. Yep.
I thought of something positive about this movie.
What's that?
They were able to use a fog machine way more effectively than we were.
That's true. They were inside.
Yeah.
They were inside. I saw that there's a couple of great shots with the fog that I was like, oh, that's nice fog. Because the new movie we're shooting now, we're using fog. And I literally thought that, Derek. I was like, that's some nice fog.
Yeah, I did too. Oh my God.
Like, son of a bitch, we got to fix that fog. No, so here's the thing about this movie. There's just some really baffling choices, right? Some really like weird,
more than 10,
baffling
huh?
choices. So
More than 10.
let's start. So the movie opens with this basically Frankenstein character and Floop.
Dude,
And
you know what? You know what Floop reminded me of?
what?
He reminded me of like if Robert Madsen was like cast to film this, and they were like, "I want you to kind of act like the way you did in Lumberjack Man," because that's kind of the way he talks
Kind of. You're right. Yeah.
through some of this.
I thought
That guy
Fluke was great, honestly.
No, I was about to say that guy was terrible.
You didn't like Fluke?
I mean, he was okay. I thought that
Mhm.
the guy the acting was a bit shoddy. His character was okay. It fit for what he was supposed to be, like, you know, an Igor type. Of course,
Yeah,
but
like
there's already an Igor.
So he's kind of like the Igor type, though, like the Hunchback assistant. Floop.
Yeah,
The doctor's name is Dr. Wolfgang, by the way. And this opening's really strange, right?
yeah.
We get like
I had high
a
hopes
zombie.
when I saw the zombie. I was like, man, that zombie does look really good.
Yeah. Like, I did not hate this beginning, this intro. I didn't hate it.
No,
I was like,
No,
okay, I see how this is kind of going.
I felt the same way. I didn't laugh at it. I didn't think it was particularly funny, but I was like, maybe as a kid, as I was watching, I was like, probably as a kid, I would have dug this. This is okay. This is
Yeah.
not bad. And you know, the zombie, the whole bit where he's doing like the selfies is kind of cringy, and you're like, okay. I mean, I get what they're going for, but you know, okay.
Here's a quick question. So I remember them discussing like
Mhm.
removing an appendage from this zombie. I think that his fingers, because he was a pianist,
Yes,
I believe. What was the purpose
Mhm.
other than that? Because
That
they
was
didn't
it.
use
Use
his
it.
appendages on Herman.
I think they did.
I think they
We
did.
just don't see it. Yeah, they did.
Down at the
but-
piano.
Here's what doesn't make sense is they should have stole that guy's brain.
Yeah,
That's what makes it be able to play.
Right.
Because the fingers, and we see what happens when they put Herman's brain in. He just pounds the piano anyway. So it's just silliness. It's just silliness.
He just wanted some good fingers, that's all.
So
He probably
What
went
do you
around and
guys-
collected all the parts for people.
right,
Like
it's the
skin.
Frankenstein trope. Yeah, the Frankenstein trope. What do you guys think of Lily?
that says it all. She was too like manic. Like
Mhm.
She was way over the top. Way over
Pretty
the top.
good,
Like,
Derek.
I want to say, yeah, I won't even do an impression. I already thought about it and I was like, no impressions of any of these characters for
Do
me.
it again, Derek. That was good. That was good, Derek. You nailed that.
We'll loop it through.
Yeah,
No,
like
she, Go ahead,
she-
Lydia.
She was, she's just way over the top. Way over the top. That's,
Yeah.
that's all I have
Yeah.
to say. She like in some parts I was like, she's doing it, like she's fine, and then and then she would just immediately ruin it, like somehow, you know what I mean? Not ruin it, like she would immediately take away what I felt was
Good.
God,
Acceptable.
this is hard, guys. This is a hard one.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to be like nice, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it is.
Just rip the band-aids off.
So, yeah, so you have Floop, who is like, you know, like we said, he's the one that names Herman, by the way.
Yeah.
Then we have the whole. So basically, the subplot is that the opening plot is that Lily is trying to find somebody to marry. So Grandpa sets her up with
Nosferatu.
Count Warlock. Yeah, Count
Yeah.
Warlock.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of this whole scene with Count Warlock?
I was really
Atrocious.
I was really excited to see Count Orlok, and I really liked his character a little bit too much. I'm related to him a lot.
Oh, with his
did
rats?
you like his character?
I did like his character, yeah.
He's like talking
I
about
was
the
like,
rats.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
rats. For people who know me, I'm a rat lover. I'm very I I have had rats in the past, and they are incredible, smart, loving creatures, and I love them a lot. So when it was like he was showing the pictures of all of his rats, I felt that in my soul, and I love have Count Orlok tattooed on me.
So this is funny.
Wow.
I related to Count Orlok in that moment because I was like, this is probably how people feel when I talk about my dogs.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Like, this is Lily. She's a junker. But no, the scene itself is not very good. Especially the ending of the scene where he does like the disco vampire dance to try to like lure into his domain to bang.
Yeah,
Layer
that's
of
where
love.
it got weird. It got
real
Yeah,
weird.
it did.
Real weird, real quick. And I was like, no, I don't like that.
Yeah.
No, sir,
was
I
like-
don't like it.
I was like trying to like it at that point because I already liked that
I was
character.
too. Yeah.
Kind of also reminded me of What We Do in the Shadows.
Mhm.
Have you guys watched What We Do in the Shadows?
Of course.
Like the movie
Yeah.
Mm,
Yes.
or the show?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a character
Hilarious.
named Peter.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so funny. It's basically the same.
Yeah.
character.
Yeah. Peter's
But-
great. Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny. So that kind of like was reminding me of him too. So
Yeah. It's so Lily, of course, doesn't want anything to do with Count Orlok, and she's lovesick. And they finally create Herman. And he makes his appearance on TV. So first of all, they do the whole switching brains thing, and they put in the brain of this idiot fucking comedian
yeah.
into Herman.
like
And his
They-
brother
which-
was like
His
second
brother was a
smartest kid in the world.
genius.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
his other brother was an idiot comedian. And they put that into Herman's brain. And then that's when Herman arrives. So he starts telling jokes on national TV on this dang show that they're
No.
watching.
I'm not gonna lie, I found some of his jokes to be quite funny.
Of course you did.
I did. Some of them I
I
was
think I
like,
laughed
"Huh,
with 2 of them throughout the whole movie because the jokes get better.
Yeah.
As the movie goes on, but
So basically, then we jump forward to Herman playing in a rock band. What do you guys think of this bit?
it was really weird.
weird.
Although
That's a
there's something
polite
about
word.
it that I was like, that's actually really cool, but why is it happening? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Why is it?
Like, what are we doing? I thought we were a comedian, and now we're in a like punk
Rock
metal band kind of thing. Like,
Yeah, like a punk band, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, try to keep up, guys, and it's just real. I was like, what are we witnessing?
yeah, it's like it's so strange how these scenes were shot and like how they were chosen to.
Yeah, and where they are in the script, there's a lot of. I'll get to the script here in a minute. We'll eventually get to that, but
Okay.
we get into the we get some creep show shots in this movie, quite a few, where in the background we have like the the exaggerated background, but we have like hearts
It's like
when they're in love,
comic booky kind of like.
which is
I don't
just
know.
really strange because it's like not with the aesthetic of the rest of the movie. It's just it's a choice. We'll say
It's
it's a
not-
choice.
It's not the aesthetic of the Munsters.
Right. Correct. They should have shot it maybe like a sitcom from the 50s. But
It's a novel idea. I don't know.
what do I?
Yeah.
But so Lily goes to meet him, and they're both immediately in love with each other. And like he has love at first sight. He gets the hearts behind his head too. and he zooms
Which-
over to her.
I do love. I love the love at first sight part of this.
Yeah, it's absolutely. They should be in love at first sight. But what do you guys? Now's the time to talk about. What do you guys think of Herman?
I don't know what I think about Herman, honestly. I really don't. I cannot put words. I just don't know. I don't know. Because like at some points I like him. At some points I do like him. And at other points I really don't like him at all. So I need your guys' help to kind of decide like what is going on with this character. The voice,
What do you think of Herman?
a huge problem, I'll say that.
The voice is no bueno.
He was my second favorite character in this movie. So for the movie that they were making, I kind of feel like he did an okay job of acting for the character that they told him to be. You know what I mean? Like I felt he was confident in what he was trying to do.
Right, but
not
is
necessarily that
they
it was great or
is that what
good
they should have
or
been
even-
doing? Yeah.
I mean that's what they chose to do. So for what they were apparently going for, I felt like his confidence did come through, and like I said, I cracked a smile at a couple of his jokes, but there were just a bunch of things like the Rock Band thing. I remember when that came out, I was like, "What the flip is going on, man?
What the fluke?
What the floop?
What the floop?" What was another one? I'm trying to think. I don't know. Like when he at the very end, whenever he sees the people.
Oh, dude, no, that whole thing. We'll get to that. I have so many issues with the ending of this movie. My takeaway with it is I agree with you, Derek, that he does as well as he could with what he has, but I just don't think that character that they wrote is Herman.
Exactly.
Oh no! He's not Herman. And that maybe I should have made that more apparent. 100%. Like this was, nobody could do the job that the original cast did. This guy was the farthest thing from it.
And so, that's my like certain things they make him do is weird. Like Herman should be goofy, absolutely goofy. He's always been goofy,
yes.
And he's also always naive. They should make him always
idiot.
Naive and an idiot, but he should also be like warm, because that's who he is. He's warm and he's like caring about not only his family but every other people. He cares about people. And he doesn't understand that he is ugly. That's another important thing, which they do make in this, but Herman also doesn't judge anybody else for being ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And, they just are. He's like, well, I know Lily's a little less fortunate looking than the rest of us. And Lily's like a fucking 10. Or not Lily, Marion.
Yeah.
Marilyn, she's like a 10.
Marilyn.
And he's like, I know she doesn't get the looks like the rest of us. And you're like, okay. But that's the humor. But so there's a lot of weird things that I don't understand too. Like, so when is this movie set?
It's a great point. You would assume the 50s by when they go to the Americas.
Yeah, and there's the 50s cars and everything, but there's like 60s. Modern tech. Yeah, 60s.
What was modern
think?
Tech? I don't remember like a cell phone or anything like that.
Well, Lily says, I saw this on your dating profile.
Yeah.
To Warlock. Yep.
They're definitely like modern things. Like time things don't make sense.
Yeah. Which is fine. It's a fantasy little fun thing, but it's just kind of confusing. Yeah.
There's a lot of like 60s, 50s, 60s, and 70s kind of like mashed together.
Mm-hmm.
And modern stuff in there. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the Sonny and Cher thing.
Let's talk about that since you brought it up.
Oh my God. Can we not talk about that actually? I hated that so much. Remember when you said that there was a Sonny and Cher song, and I was like, I love that song. That's gonna be great. Remember that?
Now you
like,
hate that song? Yeah.
like months ago, and now I'm
Yep.
like, my jaw dropped. I could not believe what I was hearing.
It's pretty bad. Yeah. And their whole little love montage is weird too. There is a great joke though. They're like, we go through the whole montage. He's like, this has been the best week of my life. And you're like, oh, well, at least, they acknowledge that it hasn't been such a long time. But here's my biggest problem with this movie, guys. I'm going to just lay it out here now. My biggest problem with this movie is that it has a very unclear plot. It has a very unclear structure. And there's really no antagonist. You could say the antagonist is the person that steals their house, but there's really no conflict with that. It's just a thing that happens to get them to the end. Yeah, and then there's also really no climax to the movie. It just kind of ends.
I mean, I don't. This is just a movie. There is absolutely no legal precedent for him to be able to sign over the castle.
No, of course not. Yeah, of course not.
On
Yeah,
Grandpa's behalf. I'm just like, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, that's just silly. Yeah.
Also, how much money did they win? It never really discloses that.
So yeah, my biggest problem is that there's no stakes. There's really nothing like. And I was like, I know it's a kids movie, but you can't use that as an excuse, because I could tell you this: The Lion King has a very clear plot structure, very clear antagonist, and a very clear climax. Aladdin has all of those same things. I don't think it is either. I think it's trying to be.
No, it's not. I don't think it's even trying to be. Honestly, if you could show me somewhere online that said that this is for children to watch, I don't believe that this is for kids.
It's like a family comedy. I think it's what they listed as. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's like a little family comedy.
I would never let a child watch this. No, it would warp
because
them.
The standard is too high for your kids to watch a shitty movie like this? Is that what I heard?
No. I feel like there are, and they're kind of vulgar at points, I feel like. Am I wrong?
But most kids' movies are. A lot of kids' movies are. That goes over their heads, and that's the jokes for the adults. Think about them. They're in Toy Story. They're in The Incredibles. You always have those little sly jokes that are the kids won't understand, but it goes over.
Yeah, but those aren't like vulgar jokes. Those are just like a sentence that just.
There is a weird bit.
You know what I mean?
There's a weird bit where Grandpa's with Igor, and they start talking about this.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. I already know.
This count guy, and he's like, "Well, I hear he's looking for help, or I'm here. He's looking for a pool boy," and he's like, "No, don't do it. He doesn't even have a pool. It's a trick."
Yeah.
And then he's like, bottoms up, and he said, "Oh, that's what he says."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh no."
That's why I'm like, this is too vulgar for children. Okay. I don't think this is a children's movie at all. There are other things too, like there are just other vulgar things that are said, and I'm just, that is not the Munsters. That's just not.
That's So what do you guys think of? So basically the major conflicts of this movie, and I use that word loosely, is that Grandpa doesn't like Herman, so he wants to break them up. That's a great plot for a movie. That's a great plot for a Munsters movie. The movie could be Grandpa throughout the whole movie is trying to stop them from getting together. They overcome it, and then at the end, Grandpa sees, well, yes, he's an idiot, but he makes my daughter happy. So he learns about their love. That's an arc. That's a story, right? We don't get that in this. We get two scenes of Grandpa saying how he hates him, And then the next thing you know, they're married.
Well,
And he doesn't even like accept their marriage still.
Yeah.
Well, he kind of does, I guess.
Yeah. He
starts
does
to
when
like
they.
him.
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah.
I mean, and he pretty much lays a guilt trip on Lily, like, you know, even though I don't like your husband, like now I'm homeless because he signed over my house to your brother or
Let's talk about
the gypsy. But like real quick, he's just like, well, I got to come live with you guys. Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about the brother character.
I kind of liked him, actually.
Except that he has no point. He's literally there just for that plot point, and that's it. And for the end
Yeah.
plot point.
I like it when he's
What do you
wearing
think of
that
him,
like
Derek?
bedazzled suit.
It is kind of funny when he runs into Lily coming down the stairs, and he's like, "I'm a little light today," and you're like, "What a piece of trash!" This guy's such a
Yeah.
piece of trash.
I
like him.
definitely like sympathize with Lily at that moment.
Do you see this guy as a J?
I'm not naming names. I'm just saying I definitely felt connected in that moment. No, but he has absolutely no purpose in this movie other than to set up them losing their. I mean, he doesn't have an arc because at the end he gives them a bunch of money because he won it at a casino. Like there's no point to him whatsoever.
No,
Except to
and
push this one little plot line along.
yeah, and the whole plot line with like the Romanian woman and everything,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and is really flat too because there's no conflict. Like it's like, oh,
Like,
she used to
there's
be
no
married to
point.
you, now she hates you. She got your house. The end. It's not like we got to get her house back. It's because that could also be a good plot for a Munsters movie. They lose 1313 Mockingbird Lane, and they have to get it back. That's a plot for a movie.
Yeah.
Also, the origin story of Lily and Herman is a cute story as well, but it also has no stakes. In a normal movie that's structured this way, you'd have Lily and Herman falling in love. You'd have something come in between them, like maybe another lover, something like that. Have something come between them. They split apart, and then they have to reconcile, and that's the arc. That's the story. It's like there's just no concise, you know what I mean? Plot.
Mhm.
It's a rambling. There's no plot.
I know exactly, like, because by like the middle of this movie, when like I'm trying to remember what scene it was that I was just like, is this movie over yet? Like, why is this still going with new plot points?
Mhm.
Every single scene is a new plot point. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? How long is this? It's like 2 hours.
Yeah, it's like how long is this movie? I think it's only like
an hour and
110 minutes.
47 minutes. I think it's an hour.
Is it
and, like,
almost 2
47.
hours? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
110 minutes. 110 minutes. That's pretty
Like
long.
by the time they got their house, Mockingbird Lane, I got up and walked away. I was like, I'm gonna have to tell the guys that I did not finish this movie. I
That I
did
gave
finish
up?
it, but I
Yeah.
got up and walked away because I was like, what? Why is this still going after that? It should have ended
So when
by now.
all of that is weird because they literally just they see a thing with Zombo on TV,
Yeah.
and he's like, this guy's the biggest star in Hollywood. Let's move there.
Yeah.
And they're like,
that's their plan.
okay. So
And
they
then he doesn't do anything Hollywood related.
No, he goes there. They meet with Cassandra Peterson, Elvira.
Oh yeah, she was.
Yeah.
That was a great little. I knew she was in it, but like, I was happy when
Yeah.
she made an appearance.
Yeah, but we still get that terrible when she faints.
Good with the bad.
Yep. So we find out that it's Halloween. The day that they decide to move in is Halloween. They buy the house, immediately move in, and then there's a big block party, a Halloween block party, for some reason. So they go down there and they start like, schmoozing with everybody, and getting to know like the neighborhood, getting to know these people. Herman gets a job at a mortuary. And then
My
they
favorite
wake up.
joke in the entire movie.
What, the mortuary one?
Yeah.
When he says, "You look like somebody that should work at a funeral home," or something like that.
No, he says
Oh,
the
I
one
know what
about
you're
the
talking
Glass
caskets.
coffin.
yeah, the glass
Yeah,
coffin.
Yeah, the
glass
glass
coffin.
coffin. I do forget the punchline, but I was like, it's
Yeah,
funny.
it's something like
Remains.
yeah, it remains
Visible
to be
remains.
seen.
It
Yeah,
yeah.
remains to be seen.
Remains to be seen. Yep.
Yep, that's it. Yep.
Oh gosh. Yeah, that one. I was like, that was pretty good actually.
Yeah. So this block party happened. What do you guys think of this block party segment?
Weird.
Weren't you guys just kind of ready to be done by this point? You're just
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really, I
no.
love probably my
Like
favorite
58
part of
minutes
this
before
movie
that.
was seeing the costumes.
Mhm.
So I liked the block party because I liked all the cool costumes that we got to see. I was like, okay, they'd spent so much budget on the costumes
Yeah,
and
that's
the
where they
sets.
all went. Yeah. So they have the block party, and then the next day, Herman goes to go to work, and he sees that he's in suburbia with all these
Hmm.
regular people, and he's freaked out by it. Right? He's like,
Yeah.
they're so hideous. It's weird. Here's what's weird to me. Throughout this entire movie, there are regular people. Wolfgang is a regular person. The host of the TV show that they're watching is a regular person. They're watching Abbott and Costello movies. So why is he freaked out like acts like he's never seen a regular human being before?
You know.
It doesn't make sense.
It really bothered me because I was like, no, if he's just like, oh my God, the neighbors are so ugly. But he's like, looks like they got taken over by space aliens. And I'm like, what? You've seen human beings. Like, I don't understand. You're the famous guy was a human being. The guys whose brain you have is a human being. It's really odd. That's just a really odd choice, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
And then
And
the
like
way
you said, Herman's like a not very judgmental, loving guy, and the whole, man, it's hard to even compare it to the original because it's just too different.
Yeah. I was gonna say you kind of
It's like,
can't.
and you know what? Actually, Jake made this point to me that he was like, if it's almost like this movie would have been fine if they wouldn't have been the Munsters.
yeah,
If they would have just been like a Frankenstein and like spooky characters that weren't called the Munsters.
That's kind of a Rob Zombie thing, guys. Because Rob Zombie's Halloween would be an okay horror movie if it wasn't called Halloween.
You're right. Oh my gosh, you're right.
He just needs to not touch other people's properties. He needs to do his own thing, it seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the end, Lily does the Herman bit at the end, and she's like, we will, we care about what people are on the inside. We don't judge people by how they look. They can't help it that they're this ugly, blah, blah, blah. And then they go outside, and all of a sudden, Wolf Brother shows up, and he's like, oh, by the way, I'm rich now, and we're rich. And then the movie just ends. It's like, there's no resolution to any of it. Like, it's like, we're rich now. I was like, what the fuck just happened? It's a very strange ending.
Yep.
Because I guess, the point is we get them to Mockingbird Lane and we get them in America, but shouldn't we have at least seen, oh, I don't know, Lily should have said, oh, I'm pregnant to hint at Eddie. Or shouldn't old boy come in and say, oh, I need you to watch my daughter, and it's Marilyn. You know what I mean? To set up the rest of what we know.
Hey, just back up, man. You're making too much sense. This movie will have none of that.
We don't need those characters involved with this.
That's probably true. It's probably true.
No, you made two really great points. Like, because that could have led into something else, and it just wouldn't have been this abrupt end. So yeah, that makes total sense. Those would have been great endings.
Yeah, because it would have set up the status quo that we know. Now they are the monsters that we know. They went to that journey. Here they're where we know them. But yeah, let's talk about Transylvania for a minute. What do you guys think of Transylvania? I kind of like the design of Transylvania. Some of the stuff there. But some of it's also really weird and cheesy. But hey, what are you going to do? Don't dig Grandpa's castle, really.
No, that was okay.
I would have moved in. Did you guys notice that in every single scene there's something like flying, and there's like effects and like flying bats and birds and crows and like just something is flying in the sky at all times in every scene.
Yeah, it's like hyperactivity.
I thought that was like, yeah, it is. It's like so much is going on. I think that's what gave me a migraine. And when they're in the castle, there's strobe lights constantly going, which is a pet peeve of mine personally.
What do you guys think of the lighting in this movie?
I don't mind the colors of the lighting. Like, I think that's a choice that could have been.
It's a choice.
It could have worked.
It's a choice.
But it wasn't just colors. It was constant
flashing
strobe lights and effects and things going on, like neon and like, smoke and,
Mm-hmm.
It was just it was
something.
A lot.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of like Rob Zombie fans out there that I've seen so far that are defending like, oh, it was visually beautiful.
I wouldn't go that far, guys.
It was visually beautiful, but the story was terrible.
Visually beautiful is the first Insidious. That's a visually beautiful movie.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But
James Wan movies.
Call this movie visual.
Well, it's very visual.
I don't know.
It is very visual. There is a lot going on. There's some nice shots. There's some nice shots in it, but there's also just a bunch of ugly garish shots. Yeah, garish shots where it's just too much and it's just too contrasty.
It's weird.
There is one joke that actually made me laugh. I actually laughed out loud too. It's a subtle one when Herman's reading the newspaper and it says Count Orlok eaten by rats.
Yeah, that one got me too.
Yeah, I laughed at that. I was like, Sarah watched about a half hour of this movie and she was fucking out. She left. Like, she was laying there and she was kind of dozing off and it was on and she's watching it and she's like, I'm going to go in the bedroom, babe. I said, you don't want to watch this? He goes, no, it's fucking stupid. And left.
Yes, dude.
Well, all right.
Oh my gosh.
It's like I'm on my own.
I'm not going to lie
I'm
to
really
you.
glad.
I felt that same way, but I had to. I was obligated.
I was just like, the whole time I was like, Derek was right. And then Jake just looked up and was like, Derek was right. I was like, shit. I felt so bad. Jake literally was like watching this like his face was like he was trying to like it and just like
Man,
I felt guilty every time I laughed because it did make me laugh a couple times.
I tried so hard to like it. I really wanted to. I really wanted to. I gave it like every chance I could because I was like, there's no way Derek's going to be right. It's like, I think it's going to be a cute, little fun Munsters movie. And there's parts that I do think are cute. Like, I think it's cute when they find Spot and, they put him in the bathtub. That's cute.
Spot looks terrible.
Yes, he looked awful. But it's cute that they found that's how they found him.
They did find him.
But
in the sewers of Paris. That was pretty cute.
Really dumb. It is really dumb. The whole Paris scene was just really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, all of that was really bad.
Oh my gosh. This movie made me cringe more than anything.
It's very
probably
cringy.
More than any other movie
it's
that I've
very
ever
cringy.
seen. Maybe that's the point. I'm trying to figure out what the point
More than
of
any other
directing
movie I've
this
ever seen.
movie this way. Honestly, I cringed so much. It made me so uncomfortable, and I'm just trying to figure out if that's like on purpose.
I don't think so. I mean, I think he really, and that's the thing, is I think he really tried to put a lot of his passion and heart into this movie, which is why I feel bad for kind of slagging off on it, but it didn't do it for me personally.
Yeah.
But then again, I might not have been the audience for it. Maybe, I mean, I don't know who the audience for it was, to be perfectly frank.
We can all agree that he completely missed the mark on every single character except for Grandpa.
I'd go
So
with that.
if he has such a love for the previous franchise, and to your point, I mean, there are lyrics in his music that reference the car.
He did an audio commentary for the Go Home Munsters DVD Blu-ray.
Yeah, I don't know how you missed the mark so bad on the characters you say that you like so much. You only get one of them right. Like, I don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense.
I think Herman part of it was writing and part of it was performance that didn't quite work for me. I think he did as well as he could with what he had. I really do. But I think Rob tried to instill some of that goofiness and fun into Herman. Like, he also makes him an idiot by signing over the thing. And he tries to make him tell these jokes, and he tries to make him do the laugh and everything. But it just doesn't quite land for me. He just got the right guy to play Grandpa is what it is. He's got the right guy to play Grandpa.
So would you say that this is a perfect example of bad casting? I mean, his wife should not have played Lily 100%. She was terrible.
I don't think that it would have helped. I don't think it would have helped.
I don't think it would have either.
No, the script is bad.
Part of this,
the script is bad.
The script is so bad.
Did he write?
I just got to a whisper because I was about to just scream.
Yeah, you did almost scream. I saw it. Yes, he wrote and directed it.
Yeah, I stand by my critique of it. I don't know how you say to love something and you fucking botch it so poorly.
Sometimes happens, man. Sometimes happens.
The lines, just some of the lines are so ridiculous. It's like anytime anything was actually happening, they would just be like, oh, groovy. Or like, something like ridiculously like 60s slang kind of like silliness.
You know what? You know how this movie could have worked?
If you were drunk?
No. Not this particular movie, but a way to do a take on this movie. So do you remember when they did the Brady Bunch movies in the 90s?
Yeah.
And do you remember how they basically transported the Bradys?
Yeah.
As the Bradys to the 90s. So they're just like these interminable fucking losers. Right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
You've never seen the Brady Bunch movies?
I feel like I've seen like a movie.
Yeah, so basically they're just
I'm
still
not a big Brady
wholesome
person.
They're very funny, very, very funny movies, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Shelley Long was in it.
Yep. You had Gary Cole as Mike Brady. It's very funny stuff. But why it worked is because like they had the 90s humor combined with the Brady Bunch wholesome humor. So they just look like these interminable squares. Like there's this great bit where they start doing gonna keep on dancing all through the night. And they're just like what the fuck? It's great. A take like that could have worked. If you're gonna keep them in that kind of same style, and then just had them dealing with modern problems. But then sometimes if you do that, you run into an example like the Three Stooges movie, where you have the Stooges interacting with stuff, and you're just kind of like, the Stooges movie, I think, is better than this, though, to be honest. And I love the Stooges, and I really wanted to love that movie, but it was just kind of.
I can't really compare. I didn't see the movie.
It's all right. So, guys, that is Rob Zombie's The Munsters. Let's start with you, Lydia. What are you going to give Rob Zombie's The Munsters?
Oh my gosh, I literally did not think about this at all. I didn't even think about reading it.
Do you want me to go to Derek first?
Yeah, let's hear what Derek has to say.
I already know what Derek's going to say. Derek, what are your thoughts
I have
on
no idea
Rob
what I'm
Zombie's
gonna
Munsters?
say. I did
Derek's
not
like,
enjoy
I'm
this.
gonna give it an 8.
Yeah.
If you were to cut an 8 in half and chuck the top part, so I didn't enjoy this movie at all. Like, I broke it up into 2 sessions because like I started watching it and I'm like, man, I cannot finish this shitty ass movie. So like, I went to bed and I woke up and I watched it the next night and I did make it through it. There were a couple of jokes, like I said, that I did like. I really didn't like any of the characters. Grandpa was actually he was okay. It threw me off when they got into when they started to move into their new house and he was like fucking blue, like real blue. I just was like, what happened to his makeup? And you're right. It 100% probably was lighting. Yeah, man, that's about all I can say about this movie. It wasn't good. I'm gonna give this movie a 0, dude. This movie was really bad.
You can't give it a 0. Come on.
Yes,
you have to give it
I'm gonna give it a 0.1. I'll give it a 0.1.
Is this the worst movie that we've reviewed so far for you?
Yes. You know what makes me the most upset about this movie was like a lot of the movies, like I will multitask. I will be working and then, watching the movie. I dedicated actual time to this movie. And that frustrates me because there were so many good movies that I like half-assed it just to like make sure that I watched it for this. And that one I dedicated time to. That makes me mad. I can't get that time back. I wasted it.
Well, actually, it's funny you say that. I mentioned that to Dad when I was telling him that we were going to do this. I was like, Derek's probably going to be pissed because really he has time to watch one movie each week. And it's our movie that we're doing. And this week he has to watch The Munsters. Lydia.
It's true. It's true.
What are you going to give The Munsters?
Okay. So I think I'm gonna give it I think I'm gonna give it a 1.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Is this the worst movie that you watched?
I think so. Because I'm trying to think of who I would recommend this movie to.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't. I just wouldn't.
I would recommend you don't watch it.
I recommend you don't watch it. Unless you're like the kind of person who has to know how bad a movie is, and then you should watch it because it's pretty bad. But yeah, I wouldn't sit down with my parents to watch this movie. As a wholesome Munsters family fun spooky Halloween time, no, absolutely not. And that's what breaks my heart, I think, the most about this movie. But also the script is horrible. Costumes are really nice. The costumes are pretty good.
Great, yeah.
Makeup, pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So that's one thing.
It's nice on a technical level, I think. Yeah.
But I think it's mostly just weird. I think it's shot weird. I think the music choices are weird.
Way weird.
The script is the weirdest, though, because I can get past some weird camera angles or whatever, stuff like that. I can get past that. But, like, the script bothered me so much, and it made me cringe several times. I was just so uncomfortable with the whole thing. So yeah, I guess I'll give it a 1.
Well, guys, I guess I'll be the nice one. I'm gonna give it a 3. A solid 3 for effort. A 3 for effort, yeah. Because the things I did like the costumes and some of the performances, and just seeing the Munsters on screen again was It's like, oh, well, that's great. But yeah, you're right. Now we have to remember this is 3 out of 10. So it's still incredibly low. It's like a 30%. I don't know who it was made for. My biggest problems are like some of those scripting issues that I just said. It feels like a first draft to me. It feels like a first draft because it feels
like it was written in one sitting.
It feels like your vomit draft where you write, these are the things I'd like to put in the movie before you structure out your story. And you're like, okay, well,
I wonder if
we have
it
to
was.
have it. It might have been. It just kind of feels that way. It feels like a first draft. Heaven forbid what the earlier drafts were. Good Lord. If this is the final shooting draft, it's like, okay. So, yeah, I'm going to give it a 3 because there's just, I don't know. It wasn't for me. And if you out there enjoy it and love it, God love you. I'm glad that you loved it. I wish I did. I really do. I wish I loved this movie. But it didn't click with me. So 3 it is. Wow, poor Munsters got a beat down. That's the lowest rated movie we have here in Screen Bloody Movies now.
Yep, 100%. Just checked it.
What was the other lowest?
Well, Popcorn was pretty low.
Popcorn.
Children of the Night was pretty low.
Travesty. Yeah, Children of the Night was 2.3.
Lumberjack Man.
Hey, watch it.
Lumberjack
Man is a classic.
Rawhead Rex is probably pretty low too.
Oh yeah, Rawhead Rex. I gave that one pretty low, I'm pretty sure.
I think I gave it a good score.
Well, relatively good. You didn't give it like a good score.
Yeah, Rawhead Rex was a 3.5. So it like tripled the score of this movie.
And I would rather watch Rawhead Rex than this movie.
Me too. I would love to see a priest get pissed on by a giant monster than what we watched.
At least it's not like pretending to be a family, wholesome children's movie.
It's a strange movie. It's not. So I'm like right in line with IMDb. I think it's at a 4 on IMDb right now. So I'm close to it, around a 3. So yeah, that is The Munsters. So guys, we forgot to Atkinize last week's movie because we got so wrapped up into everything. So this week we're going to do a double Ackinization.
Thrill me.
So this week we are going to Akkinize not only Insidious 2, which is going to be easy. We're going to Akkinize this movie. So I'm going to go first on Insidious 2. I think he should play Carl.
That's exactly who I was going to say.
Has to be, right? Make them Carl. Insidious 2 would be a 12.5 instead of just the 8s that we gave it. It'd be everything. Oh, damn it. Cast Tom Atkins in all of your projects. Okay, so guys, it's time to Akkinize this movie.
No.
Poor Tom has to be in this.
I refuse to do it.
Who would you put Tom Atkins in this movie to make this movie better?
I got it. Perfect pick.
Yep.
I would pull a Jean-Claude Van Damme in Double Take, and I would make him every single cast member that there was.
Multiplicity?
Yeah, multiplicity this movie. And I'd make him every one of them. Even Lily. He'd do much better Lily than
You could replace Rob Zombie with Tom Atkins.
There we go. There's an idea.
I'm just saying.
We've never replaced the director.
Yeah. Well, if you could, who would you have picked to direct a Munsters movie?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I mean, it'd have to be somebody that could deal with both humor and, the little fun macabre. What about Sam Raimi?
He definitely would have.
He has the right sensibility.
He does have the right sensibility.
Guillermo del Toro.
He's probably got a
Guillermo would be good too. Yeah. Yeah, those would both be great picks. But, we got Rob. Rob did the job he did. Good job, Rob.
Yeah,
You-
with
you
your
tried your best.
1.3. Good job with your 1.3.
Hey.
There's probably a lot of people out there that like this movie, and
Yeah,
that
I mean,
confuses me, but I respect it.
yeah.
Those
Everybody
people
has
are
opinions.
Stubborn. That's all they are. They're
Now,
like,
if
"I'm
anybody's giving this a 10, then that's a little extreme. Saying that this is the best movie ever made. We know that that's not the case.
anybody who rates this movie over a 3." I say you're right
Hey.
at the cutoff, man. Yeah, those 4s was shocked me when you said it's an average of a 4 right now. I'm like, I don't know. how that
Yeah, on IMDb it's like a 4. I mean, looking through some of the reviews, I'm seeing like it has a 44% on Rotten Tomatoes with an average of 4.4. So that's right there in the middle. Some people are giving it a 6 out of 10, but most people are giving it like 1 out of 5. We're like kind of in line with the general consensus.
Yeah.
There was like no emotion in this
Mhm.
movie.
I think he tried to have some. I think that the Lily Herman stuff is supposed to be cutesy and warm. It's just kind of
It wasn't serious.
honestly failed by, and it doesn't have to be serious, but it was kind of failed by bad performances. So,
Whose pick is it?
it's my pick,
Mm,
and I've got one. But before we get into that, Derek, you said you promised us a story tonight. You promised
I?
a story of the origins of the fairy
oh,
dragon.
Yeah. Okay. It's kind of a short one. So I'll try to set it up as best I can.
Mm.
So picture it, Peru, mid 2000s.
You also have to tell the backstory of why Jay is in trouble too.
Why Jay got? Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
So, so Jay was a long time pothead. And at this point, like he hadn't even done like any. I say he hadn't done anything. I'm trying not to like legally like.
No,
sure
you're
the
fine.
statute of limitations are up. Anyway,
Way
Jay,
up. Yeah.
Jay is on house arrest at this point, right? So he got in trouble for threatening to blow somebody up if they told on him, and she like told the police, and then like there were other things that they did, and anyway, so he's on house arrest at this point. My grandma and grandpa owned a trailer, and no one was home at the time, so it was just Jay sitting in his underwear watching Eyes Wide Shut. So just let your imagination go wild. And I was out with some friends. So I was out with my friend Joey and my friend Matt. And so I'm like, oh, guys, we got to stop over by my house. I got to get something. So we stop over by my house, and all three of us go in, and there's Jay just sitting in his underwear watching this movie. And I like go in the back to like grab something, and Joey and Matt are talking to Jay, and they're like, oh man, what are you doing? Just sitting here in your underwear. He's like, oh man, I'm preparing to go to prison. And I think it was Matt who was like, you know what they do to people like you in prison, don't you? And Jay's got the best response. He's like, not me. I'm the fairy dragon of death. My brother was a huge, my brother was a huge Chuck Norris fan. And so that's where he got his idea for the super kick that shook the entire house. So I don't know. He always, at one point he lied to us. He like, my mom enrolled me and him in karate classes at the Y. And Jay like stayed over one day, or anyway, he told like us, he's like, yeah, man, the instructor said I was an honorary black belt. I'm like no, that definitely never happened. But now he reminds me of some Steven Seagal stuff going on over here. But yeah,
facing Yakuza by myself.
Yeah, so he definitely gave himself a nickname.
And that nickname has stuck ever since.
It does. I told him one time, I was like, dude, if I ever make a movie about your life, I'm going to call it The Fairy Dragon. Or, yeah, Fairy Dragon, A True Story. And he was like, oh, you're so funny. Well, I mean, you better give me some of that money if you make any. I'm like, okay, whatever. You're the inspiration. You're my muse.
He's definitely something. People will not believe like the stories that we tell are true. These are all true stories. This is a guy that really exists and is really related to Derek. How wild is that? I've met this guy. He yelled at me a couple times.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, let's tell. You know what? We might as well tack this one on. So, me, Jamie, and our friend Carrie, we are going to go to a drive-in movie, right? So before we go into the drive-in, my brother calls me and he's like, hey, man, can you meet me at the gas station, McClure's in Peru? And I'm like, yeah, I guess. So, like, I meet him there. He's driving his work van. He's at work. And he, like, pulls up to me. Well, Carrie had already had a run-in with Jay, and he found him to be repulsive. So I'm driving the car. Carrie was in the passenger front seat. She reclined her seat all the way back and scooted against the door so that Jay couldn't see her. And Jamie's randomly sitting in the back at this point. If I were Jay, I'd be like, man, why are you sitting in the back? But anyway, so Jamie's sitting in the back, and he's laughing at Carrie. And Jay's like, hey, man, can you hold my drugs for me? That's why he wanted me to meet him at McClure's. And I was like, no, I am not going to hold your drugs for you. What are you talking about? And Jamie's sitting in the back seat, and he's just laughing. He's actually laughing at what Carrie's doing because she doesn't want to see Jay. And Jay looks back and he's like, what the fuck are you laughing at? And Jamie's like, nothing. And he's like, hey, man, can you get out and check my back brake lights?
Right after he yells at me. Immediately after he yells at me.
Yeah, after he yells at you and curses at you, he's like, hey, man, you want to do me a favor?
Yeah, check my back brake lights. And I was like, oh, they're good, man. I'm dying laughing.
You got out and checked.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just laughing hysterically the entire time. And he's just like, well, man, if I get pulled over, you know it's your fault. And Derek's like, no, it's your fault.
Yeah, that's not my fault.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's that little thing called accountability. It's some people just try to elude it as much as they can.
Great stuff. Love it. So, guys, next week, it's my pick. So, I was thinking about this for a while. And it's getting on to spooky season. But it's not quite Halloween yet, right? So we can't do Halloween 3 quite yet. Right?
Right.
So, I mean, I was thinking, we're not going to do this, by the way. We already did this. We're going to read the Amityville Horror and talk about it. No. We are going to do John Carpenter's Christine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a good one. One we haven't done yet. And
yeah,
kind of an underappreciated classic of John's, I feel like.
It is.
I'm excited.
I didn't even know that he was the director of that until like a couple of years ago.
No, I knew.
You told me.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, man, I bought the John Carpenter's Christine, and I was like, whoa, what? I've seen the movie a long time ago, but yeah.
It's a great one. I can't wait to talk about it. It's going to wash the taste of this one out of our mouths.
Yes, for sure. Some classic.
What would you guys have done if I said we're going to do like Rob Zombie's Halloween or something ridiculous?
I don't hate Rob Zombie's movies. Just for the record, I don't hate them. Just this one.
Except this one. Except this one.
Pretty bad.
Or as Larry David would say, pretty bad. So that is our show. Next week, guys, We're going to watch John Carpenter's Halloween. Let me tell you, or John Carpenter's Halloween. John Carpenter's Stephen King adaptation of Christine.
Yes.
Let me see if that's on anything. It is on. You can watch it on Prime Video, Vudu, Apple TV, Spectrum TV, Philo, or Redbox TV. I have it on DVD or Blu-ray, so I'm going to watch it on that. Typical. Of course I would. I don't own it on 4K yet, but that's coming soon. I will definitely upgrade that one because it's John Carpenter. So, guys, is there anything else you want to add about the Munsters before we go? Your silence is deafening. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe this video. Comment down below on which movies you'd like us to do next. We still have quite a few Insidious movies to go through, and we have a whole slew of all of the movies. We need to. I think this year we might be hitting up Halloween 3 in a couple weeks. What do you guys think? Is that a possibility?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we could work that in there.
I'm thinking so.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. So until next time, you can follow us on social media. You can follow us on Instagram at Screen Bloody Movies. You can follow us on Facebook at HiLa Productions. You can get merch at HiLaProductions.com. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow Derek at DDoglyMaster. You can follow Lydia at Lydia's Spooky. And you can follow me at Racket. So comment down below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies. We'll see you next week.